Your brain is talking to you every single day, through headaches, through that fog that will not lift, through nights you wake up and cannot fall back asleep. These are not just bad days, they are warning signs, and most people will not recognize them until it is too late. Today, we are breaking down 12 signs that your brain may not be as healthy as you think. Some of these will sound harmless, but the science behind them tells a very different story. And by sign number 1, you will understand why millions of people are ignoring the one signal that matters most. This video is backed by science, but it is not a substitute for medical advice. If any of these signs sound familiar, your doctor should be your next step. Let's begin. Sign 12. Tired all the time. You slept 7 or 8 hours, did everything right. But when the alarm goes off, your body feels like it never rested. Most people blame their mattress. The real issue may be inside your skull. Your brain makes up only about 2% of your body weight, yet it burns through roughly 20% of all the energy you produce. Research from the University of Rochester confirmed that neurons are the primary consumers of glucose in the brain, and when that fuel supply is disrupted, fatigue is one of the first symptoms to appear. Exhaustion that sleep cannot fix is not laziness. It may be your brain starving for fuel it is not receiving. Sign 11. Constant brain fog. You sit down to work and your thoughts scatter, reading the same sentence 3 times and still not absorbing it. Research from Weill Cornell Medicine shows that the brain depends heavily on glucose metabolism to function, and when brain cells become resistant to insulin, they begin to starve even when blood sugar levels are normal. Your brain is surrounded by fuel, but the door to let that fuel in has jammed shut. Scientists now call this process a key feature of what some researchers refer to as type 3 diabetes, a term describing the insulin resistance found in the brains of Alzheimer's patients. Your brain is not foggy because you are overworked. It may be foggy because its cells are losing access to the energy they need. But brain fog does not just affect your thinking. It can reach something far more personal. Sign 10. Mood swings out of nowhere. One moment you feel fine. The next irritation hits like a wave, and you cannot explain why. This is not a personality flaw. When blood sugar spikes and crashes, your brain cells ride that same roller coaster, and your mood shifts with them. But there is another layer. Research suggests that a weakened blood-brain barrier may allow harmful substances to enter the brain and trigger inflammation. That inflammation can make you hypersensitive to stress, turning small frustrations into emotional storms. When your mood shifts for no reason, do not blame yourself. Check your brain. Sign 9. Headaches that keep coming back. Everyone gets a headache now and then. But if headaches show up more than 10 days a month, something deeper is happening. Your brain needs a constant supply of oxygen-rich blood. When blood flow drops, whether from blood pressure issues or anemia, the brain responds with pain. It is the only alarm it has. Research from the National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Stroke confirms that chronic headaches are closely linked to disrupted cerebral blood flow. A headache that keeps returning is not just an inconvenience. It is your brain knocking on the door asking for help. Now, the next sign happens when your brain's alarm system gets stuck on high alert. Sign 8. Anxiety that will not shut off. Worrying about things that have not happened. Lying awake running through worst-case scenarios. Panicking over small things that used to feel manageable. Deep inside your brain sits a small structure called the amygdala. Think of it as your brain's smoke detector. When the amygdala becomes overactive, it locks your brain into a constant state of fight or flight. Research published in Biological Psychiatry found that people with anxiety disorders show significantly heightened amygdala activity compared to healthy controls. Your brain is not broken. It is stuck in survival mode and it needs a reset. Sign 7. Waking up at 2 or 3 a.m., you fall asleep fine, but then your eyes open in the dark and your mind starts racing. This pattern is more than annoying. Cortisol, the stress hormone, normally drops to its lowest levels during deep sleep. But when chronic stress keeps cortisol elevated, it disrupts your sleep cycles and pulls you out of the deepest phase. Here is why that matters. A landmark study from the University of Rochester discovered that during deep sleep, your brain activates a cleaning system called the glymphatic system. This system flushes out toxic waste, including proteins linked to Alzheimer's disease, and increases its activity by up to 60% during sleep. Every night you lose deep sleep, your brain misses its chance to take out the trash. The hours you lose are not just rest, they are the time your brain uses to heal. And when your brain cannot repair at night, the damage starts showing up in ways you would never expect. Sign 6. Feeling dizzy for no reason. You stand up and the room tilts. Or you are walking and suddenly feel unsteady. Frequent dizziness may mean your brain is not getting enough oxygen. One common cause is a deficiency in vitamin B12 or iron. Without enough of these nutrients, your red blood cells become enlarged and misshapen, a condition called megaloblastic anemia. These oversized cells struggle to carry oxygen efficiently, and your brain is the first organ to feel it. Research from the National Institutes of Health links B12 deficiency to dizziness, poor balance, and cognitive decline. Dizziness is your brain telling you it cannot breathe properly. Sign 5. Cannot sit still. Constant fidgeting. Tapping your foot. An overwhelming urge to move even when you should be focused. This may be a chemical imbalance. Dopamine and norepinephrine help regulate attention, motivation, and calm. When their levels are off balance, your brain struggles to settle down. This restlessness is especially common in adults with undiagnosed ADHD. Research from the American Journal of Psychiatry shows that ADHD in adults is significantly underdiagnosed, with many people going decades without understanding why they cannot stay still. A restless body paired with a scattered mind is not a character flaw. It is chemistry. But what happens when the damage goes deeper, when it starts affecting how you learn and communicate? Sign 4. Slower learning. Reading a page and retaining nothing, watching a tutorial and forgetting the steps immediately. This is not about intelligence. To learn, your brain needs a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine, the chemical messenger responsible for forming new connections between neurons. When acetylcholine levels drop, often due to poor diet or chronic stress, your ability to absorb new information slows down. A study in the journal Neurobiology of Learning and Memory found that acetylcholine plays a critical role in memory encoding and attention. Your brain is not getting slower because of age. It may be missing the raw materials it needs to build new connections. Sign 3. Struggling with words. You know exactly what you want to say. The word is right there on the tip of your tongue, but it will not come out. And it is happening more often. This is one of the earliest signs that your brain may be losing neural connections. The areas responsible for language Broca's area and Wernicke's area are among the first regions affected when the brain is under stress or losing volume. Research from Harvard Medical School shows that a noticeable increase in word-finding difficulty may signal early cognitive changes that deserve attention. When words start slipping away, that is not a senior moment. That is your brain losing connections it once held tightly. And if words are slipping, what about memories? Sign 2. Forgetting what just happened. You walk into a room and forget why. You put your keys down 5 minutes ago and have no idea where. Long-term memory seems fine, but short-term feels like a sieve. The hippocampus, a small structure deep in your brain, is the command center for forming new memories. When sleep is poor, nutrition is lacking, or cortisol from chronic stress keeps battering it, the hippocampus begins to shrink. A study from the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences found that hippocampal volume loss is one of the earliest measurable changes linked to cognitive decline. The good news is that the hippocampus responds well to exercise and nutrition. But the warning is clear. Forgetting your keys once is human. Forgetting them every day may be your hippocampus sending an SOS. But the number one sign is the one most people never connect to brain health. Sign 1. Depression that will not lift. Feeling empty. Losing interest in things you once loved. Dragging through the day with no motivation and no energy. Most people think depression is purely emotional, but research published in JAMA Psychiatry found elevated markers of neuroinflammation in the brains of people experiencing major depressive episodes. That means depression is not just sadness. It is actual inflammation inside your brain disrupting the chemicals that control how you feel, think, and function. Your brain is not being weak. It is fighting a biological battle. We covered this topic in depth in a dedicated video on the signs of depression. If this sign resonates with you, I strongly recommend watching that video next. Understanding what is really happening inside your brain could change everything. The good news is, your brain does not give up easily. Research confirms that the brain can grow new cells through a process called neurogenesis, even in adulthood. But it will not happen on its own. You have to give it the right conditions. First, move your body. A study from the University of British Columbia found that regular aerobic exercise increases the size of the hippocampus, the part of your brain responsible for memory. You do not need a gym. 30 minutes of brisk walking is enough to trigger the growth of new brain cells. Second, protect your sleep. During deep sleep, your brain activates its cleaning system and flushes out toxic waste that builds up during the day. Research from the University of Rochester found that this process increases by up to 60% while you sleep. 7 to 9 hours is not a luxury, it is maintenance. Third, feed your brain. It runs on what you eat. Omega-3 fatty acids found in fish, like salmon and sardines, provide the raw materials your brain needs to repair damaged tissue. A study published in the journal Neurology found that people with higher omega-3 levels had larger brain volumes and performed better on memory tests. And finally, cut the sugar. When your brain becomes resistant to insulin, its cells begin to starve. Reducing processed sugar and refined carbohydrates helps restore your brain's ability to absorb the fuel it needs. 4 changes. That is all it takes to start turning things around. Your brain does not scream, it whispers. Through fatigue, fog, forgotten words, and sleepless nights, it has been trying to tell you something. Now you know how to listen. If these signs feel familiar, do not ignore them. Talk to your doctor. Share this video with someone you care about. It might be the wake-up call they need. Hit the like button so more people can see this. Subscribe and turn on notifications because we are just getting started uncovering the signals your body has been sending all along.